Like origami, folding and unfolding the current news from Japan and Japanese Americans, Eye on Japan unfolds the news, information and cultural events and activities of the Japanese in Asia, America, and the world. Eye on Japan is not only for the Japanese, but all those interested in world current events with an Asian twist.
Eye on Japan's editorial from Chicago asks, driving down any street in Chicago. Because of the rising popularity of the meet-up sushi bars, you will pass several Japanese sushi bars, boasting all kinds of real Japanese taste. Yet, in 2015, 80% of all sushi bars displaying Japanese names, like Hayashi Sushi, are owned by Koreans, Chinese, and other Asians. This is okay, but now there are very few real Japanese in Chicago. When in the 70s and 80s, most were Japanese. Yes, there is the famous Nobu of New York, Las Vegas, and the world, and one or two Japanese downtown. But where have they all gone?
This is Yuka Kontani reporting for LittleTokyoTV.com. LittleTokyoTV.com has been created to better broaden the networking and communications within the Japanese, Korean, and Asian communities in the Chicagoland area. LittleTokyoTV.com is not only for Asians, but also non-Asians who enjoy a touch of the Orient. LittleTokyoTV.com is now in the birthing stages and invites those who have any creative ideas or suggestions to contact us at 630-595-0673 or by email at contact@littletokyo.tv.com.
In 2017, Little Tokyo Village comes to Chicago with its own Japanese grocery and Japanese-style food court and many Japanese-style amenities. And it is being designed by well-known Asian architect Kenneth Yang, known worldwide for his eco-architecture.
How we live in and organize our cities is going to be critical to a successful future. Ken Yang, an architect and ecologist, has big ideas on how skyscrapers of the future might look.
I believe that biology is the biggest source of ideas, the biggest source of invention. Nobody can invent better than nature. And so if you like, nature is my biggest source of inspiration. My contention is that 80% of the impact of the building is caused by its design. If we can anticipate the impact at the design stage, we can reduce the impact from 80% to, if we can, minimal. I think it's the single most pressing issue that all designers must address today. Otherwise, this millennium will be our last. The ecologist has a much more comprehensive and holistic view of the world. We're looking at the natural environment as well as the human-built environment, and the connectivity between the two. That means when we design a building, we're not looking at it as an object, but we're looking at it and its relationship with the natural environment. I call this process of imitation ecomimesis, imitating the processes in nature. Another aspect that we should imitate is that in nature, the only source of energy is from the sun. Everything comes from the sun through the process of photosynthesis. Whereas now, our source of energy is from fossil fuels. So until we are able to operate and run by imitating photosynthesis, it'll be a long while before we can have a truly ecological system. In the Edit Tower, what we're trying to do is to interpret as many of our ecological ideas as possible into this single building project. First thing we did was to try and balance the inorganic mass of the tower with more organic mass, which means bring vegetation and landscaping into the building. We wanted it to be low energy, so we had photovoltaics on its facades, particularly facing the east and west side, and on its roof, so that in this way it would have its own energy source. So we had sunshades which was scallop shade, so that we could collect rainwater. And then the building has its own sort of water filtration system, so the water is recycled within the building, and then the sewage are recycled. And so in many ways it is, if you like, a human-made ecosystem, but in a tower form. Within the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see a lot more green buildings being built. Not just buildings, but green cities, green environment, green master plans, green products, green transportation. Reduced use of cars and better use of public transportation affects the planning of cities. And so planners all over the world are aware of this, but some are in a better position to implement it than others. I believe that if we are committed towards it, and that we continue to educate people and get the whole world community to implement green features and aspects, not just in their lifestyles, but in their businesses, in their industries, then we're heading towards a green future. So my dream, for the future is that it's a green dream, but as Kermit the Frog says, it's not easy being green, but we should try and make it as green as possible. And I'm very optimistic.
For an overall look at the Little Tokyo Village concept, with our shops and restaurants of Little Tokyo Village, and our cherry blossom condos starting at $199,000, assisted living condos for seniors, luxury corporate condos, and townhomes. Please click below on preview and take a tour of the Little Tokyo Village concept. Please keep watching daily as new improvements to the station will be implemented over the next few months. Thank you. This is Yuka Kontani for LittleTokyoTV.com.